That was hard. Hey.
My name is Ben Warnock. I am a missionary kid. Grew up in Kenya. The first time I drank was I was a sophomore in college, and I had started dating a girl that all my friends and family had said not to pursue. She was not a believer. I just remember that I loved it. I loved the feeling. I had a lot of insecurities that I really wasn't aware of at that time, and so alcohol really took a lot of that away. It wasn't until we broke up that I didn't know where to turn. I walked away from God and kind of my family, and I tried alcohol again and took away the pain of that. Within a year, I was drinking every single day, and my friends would no longer drink with me, and I didn't even mind drinking alone. The drink of choice was definitely vodka. I think it's the cheapest, strongest, and I would just drink it straight. I had bought this nice car, and at this point I knew that I probably drank too much. I would not have called myself an alcoholic, but I knew I was not on a good path, but I didn't care enough yet to change, and I had a rough couple days and decided to jump in my car and just drink, and I ended up driving around for 3 days just drinking, and I would pass out and drink some more and then drive around, and eventually, it's a miracle I didn't kill someone, but eventually I ran into a car. I don't even remember it, I just know that it happened, and officer came and took me to jail, and my car was totaled, this thing that I had spent good money on. I think that's when I knew that I really am an alcoholic. My first treatment was Minnesota Teen Challenge. At the time, it was a short-term program. Teen Challenge is one of the strictest programs out there, and so you can't just come and go. You live there, and you have roommates. It's kind of like dorm life, except kind of with a bunch of alcoholics and addicts. The main way I coped was through music, either listening to it or playing. I had a guitar with me in treatment, so I would play that. That's how I communed with the Lord. After that first 45-day treatment at Teen Challenge, I stayed sober about 90 days. The thing about alcoholism is there's always a reason to go back. And I think, any addict or alcoholic will point to something probably that led to a relapse. But at the end of the day, there's always going to be something to drive me back to that. At the core of it was that I was not ready to be done. I wanted to drink. So one of the most important moments in my life was when I decided I was done. And I had struggled with this kind of suicidal ideation. I had attempted once before. I took a bunch of pills. It only ever happened when I was drunk. I didn't have those ideations or the thoughts of suicide when I was sober. It would just come when I was drunk. I was in a really bad relapse. And it was just over 2 years ago now. It was 4/20, which is my sober date. I've been drinking for a while. I knew that I was about to lose the place that I was staying in. I was living with a guy who I had been in treatment with, and he had fallen off, and then I fell off harder. And having been and I was feeling pretty depressed, and being in that situation, I knew that if I were to tell anyone, that they would get me to a psych ward or do something like that, and I didn't want that. So I planned out the suicide for a week without telling anyone, and I had the spot picked out because I went across that bridge every day on the way to work. I picked one that was high, so there was no way I was gonna live through it, and so I hopped on my bike. I hadn't had a license in a long time, and biked up to the bridge, and I got to the spot, and I was gonna do it. I was set on doing it, and I remembered that my brother had made me promise probably years before that I would call him before I did anything crazy, and so in that moment I thought of that, and so I said, okay, I'll call him. I'll just tell him what's happening here. But I started leaving a voicemail, and I said, hey, Danny, it's Ben. I'm about to jump off a bridge, and would you tell the family I love them? And as soon as I said that, I knew that I couldn't do both. I couldn't jump and tell my family I love them. I had to choose. And I know now that was the Holy Spirit softening me, because I was dead set. Just a few days after the bridge, I was back in Teen Challenge, and I did a special program they have for graduates. Honestly, it's pretty easy to stay sober in treatment, because everything's kind of taken care of for you. It's getting out and having that freedom that it's challenging. So that year was one of the best years of my life. I don't wake up today going, all right, how am I going to stay sober today? I wake up, how am I going to follow God today? How am I going to, meet with Him? And I'm not saying, there are definitely moments where I think about alcohol or tobacco or, kind of some of that old stuff, and those moments come, but it's not like a constant fighting, of urges.